Welcome to the Cartography of Memory, an actual play of the electric state from Stories with Dice. If you're enjoying our actual plays, please subscribe to Stories with Dice so you'll never miss an episode. Don't forget to rate and review us. It really helps others discover the podcast. Follow us on social media to stay updated. You'll find the relevant links in the description of each episode.
So, yes, welcome back to The Electric State. With me, as always, I have my... Well, I was going to be mean to you there for a second, but I just thought, no, I have my wonderful co-host with me, as usual, Marco.
Thanks. And best GM ever.
Yeah. and it's a family affair, so we've got Marco's brother, Carmelo.
Hi, Carmelo. And I actually neglected to mention that he has for all of our listeners out there, he has an ebook that is out. Can you tell us the name of the book, Carmelo?
It's an e-short story called The Clarity of Ice from Zama Shorts, which is bringing lots of short stories to your Kindle or any other device.
Well, there you go. Shameless plug of the evening. So
Shameless.
Pick that up.
Might as well do it while you can, right? And Douglas, as it seems you seem to be on quite a lot of them.
What, books?
Podcasts.
Maybe.
I mean, you could be on books, I don't know.
Yeah, and then I'll have to write a book by next week, and then I can chill on the last episode of this.
We'll both have to write a book, because then we'll all be in the club, right? So, back to our wonderful game. Marco Handley updated me as to what we did last session, because I've been lazy. There's been denying it. So we'll just go where we left off. I believe Roger was unhappily playing with a broken pinball machine. Raymond was listening to some music, which was quite nostalgic for him. And our drone pilot, IG-88, name still we don't know, find out that there was a message on the computer system from his mother from many years ago saying, "Come and find me," which is where we left you all last time. So
wait, that message was from years ago?
Yes.
I thought it was like real time. Okay.
Well, it's date stamped from years ago.
Okay. I think that was a detail that was lacking at the very end
perhaps,
there.
Yes. Yeah.
Last
perhaps.
episode. Okay. Cool.
Yes. So you're in this museum of forgetting, a labyrinthian archive of things from the past. From pretty much the old vinyl records, the pinball machines, to old cars sitting in the car park, to the old leather sofas, dusty old books, as well as various other things. There is a plethora of things from an olden time. And it's all housed in this massive hangar. The only person that's with you is a lady by the name of Jell, who you vaguely recall having worked here when you were younger. And you kind of remember sort of this feeling of trust and sort of someone that you could cling on to. And as you've been kind of doing the things you've been doing, you've slowly been remembering things from your past. One of the things that you've just remembered is that she doesn't look all that different to when you remember her, down to sort of like the clothes she's wearing.
No wrinkles, no gray hair.
No.
She hasn't aged a day, is what you're telling me. She's like Bilbo Baggins.
A bit like that.
Interesting.
And it only just comes to you. It's that kind of like slow understanding of, all right, okay, yes.
Is there a way to track where it came from?
Probably.
That would be an internal thing, though, and I can't do those things?
Yeah, you'd need someone to sort of plug in through a Neurocaster for them to do that here, which means you'll have to ask one of your compatriots to do that. So you do know that there is actually a local Neuronet here. So it is actually on a Neuroscape. So not only does it have the old stuff that's physically here, there's a Neuroscape that goes along with it. If you wanted to plug into that, you could.
Okay. And,
unfortunately, not you.
Not me. No. What about Jell? Maybe Jell will do it for us.
She says, sorry, what now?
This message from my mother.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell me where it came from? You'll have to go into the Neuroscape for that.
Sure, she says. I can do that. She wanders over to sort of a counter. And she pulls out an old Neurocaster. And she goes over to sort of the plug-in near the sofas. There's that sort of like large rug in the middle of this large room. And she sort of sits down and she sort of adjusts the Neurocaster onto her head, and she logs in, and she goes quiet.
So while she's doing that, is there any way to determine whether or not she's like a real person?
And how would you do that?
I don't know. How would a drone go about just finding out if someone is a robot or...
Presumably she'll bleed if she's a real person.
Are you suggesting that I should cut her?
I'm saying that, you're going to have to figure out how that someone's a real person, and presumably no one's going to put real blood in a...
I will check her pulse. I will check her pulse on her wrist.
Okay, great. Unfortunately, you have metal fingers, which doesn't help.
Oh, right.
Or do you have a sense of touch, technically?
No.
Hey, Roger.
You go over there and you go...
Yeah, if you call Roger, he'll just sort of look over.
Roger, come over here for a minute.
Okay. He puts the broken bit of the pinball machine down on the thing.
Stop messing about with that busted pinball machine. I don't know what you think you're trying to do over there.
Okay. And then he walks up to you and just looks at you, being like, yeah.
Check this lady's pulse for me, will you?
He sort of raises an eyebrow at you, as in, why?
Because I want to know if she's alive or not.
He kind of like looks at you a bit weird, as in, you were just talking to her. Okay.
Yeah, just come on. Humor your old pal, IG-88.
He shrugs, and then I suppose he has a think, what's the best way to sort of like, check her, Phil? So I guess he'll probably try and take the pulse on like the neck.
Okay. You go to sort of like touch her neck, and she sort of like flinches from you sort of like putting it up into the Neurocaster. She takes off the Neurocaster and looks at you and goes, what are you doing?
Well, he was just checking your foot to make sure you had a pulse. You went stone cold when you put that thing on. We thought maybe you died or something.
She looks at you funny, and she's sort of, I'm fine, thanks.
And while we're at it, how is it that you don't look a day older than when I last...
She looks to you and says, you don't look a day... Wait, you don't look like yourself at all.
You don't even know who I am. Fuck!
We've never met before today.
We have never met before today, but you seem like you've never aged.
Weird, right? So, Raymond, you're sort of quite happily listening to music that's sort of very nostalgic, and it's really sort of like taking you to a happy place.
Yeah, certainly is back when, before all the shit happened. The song really is reminding me of times when I actually had a place to live, and I had somebody living with me, and the music just played through the room like it owned it, and we were just its companion.
Could you please make a roll for me?
Okay.
You could make me an empathy roll. Okay. So you should be able to go onto your Foundry, click on empathy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bonuses or modifiers. Just make a roll for me.
Okay. Oh.
That's a success.
First time I've been good at something.
You kind of hear a sort of like faint static in the background, just kind of like going over the radio or the speakers, and just in that space between the sound and the static, you can hear your other half's voice, just maybe doing a soft giggle or something nice that you used to listen to and enjoy, just in between that space. And if you want, you can give up a memory, just a fleeting memory, and I could give you something in return.
That sounds devious. Sorry.
It does sound devious. What kind of fleeting memory? Any
memory that you like. Good, bad, indifferent.
I'm gonna bite this. Let's do it. All right. I'm gonna give up just a casual memory of her and I walking across a small footbridge over a river. For our listeners, Ed has got out a pad of paper and started writing, which is a bad sign. Usually is, but we'll go with it.
Okay, you do that.
A piece of paper. How quaint.
I know, I thought I'd keep it completely offline. Okay, you kind of just sort of slip into the memory of this very nice memory of the laughing and the giggling, and you almost kind of absorb that memory. It's a weird way to describe it. Everything's a little bit odd, but you give up this memory of you and her walking across this little footbridge. When you do, the feeling that you had of that moment that you were sharing with her, and that sort of moment of joy just really sort of fills you with just this very nice feeling. I would say if you had any sort of like hope that you wanted to get back, you could do, but I don't think you've lost any hope, so that's fine. You also can bank a success for me. So you just need to remember that you've got one free success that I'm going to give you at a later stage.
One free success. Okay.
Now, this has nothing to do with the actual game itself. There's a bunch of different things you can do within the system. This is one thing that you could potentially do, and it's something that we've got for the story, a random thing. So yeah, if you exchange that memory, and I'm going to give you a free success later on if you need it.
Okay, agreed.
Okay.
And I realized I told Jell that message was from my mother.
Yes.
Yes, interesting. IG-88 is not using his brain today.
Of latency between the brain and the drone today.
Yes, there's a latency. Yeah. Okay, so did she find anything out in that short time before? No. Okay. Is she going to go back in, or what is she doing?
She's willing to go back in, but she says, "Can you just not touch me, please?"
Yes.
She says to Roger. She obviously doesn't say it to you.
Yeah.
Or just sort of points at the drone and then just shrugs and walks off.
Okay. Can I take your name, please?
IG-88.
Do you have another name?
I'm just asking you to track that message back to where it came from. You don't need my name.
Okay. She goes back into the Neuroscape.
Okay.
Right. While she does that, are you going to do anything else? Are you just going to wait around?
I'm just going to wait around and watch her. And I start playing The Day I Tried to Live through the speakers, through my drone's speakers, right? The Soundgarden song.
Yes.
Because he's been screwing everything like this. He's now worried that this woman knows who he is, and now he's thinking about what he needs to do to rectify that situation.
What's Roger doing?
Well, IG-88 kind of snapped him out of his malaise in regards to the pinball machine, so he's kind of just over that, wherever that was now. And I suppose he's just going to have a look around, maybe try and find what's the sort of like most newest looking thing that's in this museum.
The newest looking thing?
As in, like, it's got stuff from like the 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
But what's what's the most like newest exhibit, let's say?
Okay. So you make your way to, I guess, the newest things. You kind of you track the ages, and it kind of goes in sort of 5-year increments, I suppose, for the way the displays are set up. And you kind of have to like go a fair distance, down into sort of like this large aircraft hangar type building. And you're sort of like making your way through sort of like large shelves, and there's boxes of things. And you come to a whole heap of robots. And there's various different robots and drones from the last couple of years. Next to them is a door, and on the door, written in this really fun Comic Sans kind of writing, it says, "The Future," and there is a big sort of like push door handle, almost like an emergency exit door.
Okay.
Which then goes next to it.
Yeah.
So the latest thing they have is a large robot, and the robot's head is partially open, and there is a smaller robot inside that, and that robot's head is partially open, and there's a smaller robot inside that. Kind of like, a Russian dolls of robots.
Huh. Interesting. Is there any sort of like plaque or anything describing what it is? Or is it just a bunch of drones in a pile?
It's just a bunch of stuff. Yeah, so there's no sort of, there isn't any real kind of plaques. It's just like someone has got a whole load of stuff and they just dumped it in this museum. And it's just, there's stuff everywhere. And it's roughly curated in sort of those 5-year segments. But there is sort of like, you might find something from the 1930s, which someone has moved and dropped into the 1980s, or it's just that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, Roger doesn't really know much about drones, so they don't hold that much interest for him. Like, I'm sure it looks neat, but the door to the future, however, looks far more enticing.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go through the door to the feature and see what the feature holds.
Yeah. You push the the sort of large door handle in the middle of the door, and the door swings open, and you see sort of like this kaleidoscope of colors. I mean, it's a really cheap effect of lights and paper, and it's kind of going around in a cylindrical kind of drum shape. And
Right,
there's a walkway that goes through the middle, and then it sort of like turns to the right and then heads down like an escalator.
Mm-hmm.
And this drum thing goes all the way down the escalator, and you can see it sort of like turning. And as you're moving, there's obviously some kind of light sensor, and there's like a large conk noise, and a light will turn on as you get to just before the next section, and the barrel around you starts to tumble, and all the paper and lights kind of like come on.
Okay.
Apparently, this is what the future looks like.
Yeah, like it's a nice sort of like carnival-esque attraction. He'll just sort of live in the moment and enjoy his little ride down the escalator and along the sort of, and see where this ends up. Maybe there'll be a big payoff at the end.
Okay, you make your way down the escalator. You get to the bottom of the escalator, and there is a very different look. It is a grimy, grotty metal and sort of ridded sort of like floor. And then there's pipes and sort of all sorts of manner of sub-basement stuff down here. So it looks very different. It looks like the ride takes you down and it just dumps you into essentially the guts of the building. You realize that there's no escalator up. And there is a corridor which leads you further in underneath the
Roger will kind of like look back up the escalator and then look back down and just kind of like thinking to himself, have they just not finished this part of the attraction? Obviously,
it looks
like, should I be here? But there's no like signage saying in construction or not.
Nothing like that.
So I guess you'll just, can you see anything like down the corridor? Like a
yeah,
sign
you can
or
see
something?
sort of, maybe 20, 30 meters down the corridor, you can see another, like a light sort of in a fixture, and there's, looks like a door or something.
Okay. Well,
if partially illuminated.
Well, you make the assumption that if it's lit down here, it must be in use. Oh, no, I know if it wasn't locked then. So you'll carry on down to the light at the end of the corridor and see if there's another, maybe it's like the further future or the gift shop.
Yeah, you kind of make your way down the corridor and you kind of come to, like, I guess this is almost like the end of the corridor. There's another little portion of the corridor, maybe another 10 meters or so, and that stops at a door. So there's two doors. There's essentially one right at the end of the corridor, there's one on your right-hand side as you've kind of come to it. The one on the right-hand side, there is a sign that says the archive, and then someone has basically drawn like flowers and little stick people underneath the words "the archive."
Mm-hmm. And what's the other door say?
So you take a step over to there.
Yeah.
And it just says, well, there's a plaque that was on there, but someone's peeled it off. And so there's now a blank square that's a different color to the rest of the door. You have no idea.
Okay. Well, I suppose archive looks inviting. It's got little flowers and stuff on it. And it seems to be like a logical route. As in, it's not, once again, not cordoned off. It's just at the end of this corridor. So rather than just going through the mysterious door that might have had like staff only at some point,
yeah,
or do not enter, let's go through the door that definitely is something and is somewhat inviting.
Okay. Yes, you kind of like open up the door that looks vaguely inviting, and you go into the archive. Meanwhile, back upstairs, IG-88 and Raymond are sort of like hanging around, waiting for Jill to finish. You wait a while, and she doesn't seem to be coming out of the Neuroscape.
Can you speak to someone who's in the Neuroscape?
Yeah, they can actually. They are vaguely aware of what's going on around them.
I say, Jell, Miss Jell, are you okay?
To be answering.
What happens if I take the helmet off?
You will probably crash her, but if she's faded into the Neuroscape, she might never answer you, and that might be the end of her. If you take the helmet off, she could crash, but she will potentially survive.
Is there a way for a drone to enter the Neuroscape?
I do not believe so, because essentially you're the one going into the Neuroscape when you're sort of like going into sort of like the global Neuroscape, so you're not locally in the area. So No, as far as I'm aware, a drone cannot.
Hey, Raymond. I think there's something wrong with this lady over here. Can you go into the Neuroscape and maybe help her out? Get her to come back?
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
If she can't or won't come back, just find out where that message came from. She'll know what I mean, and then leave her. Fuck it.
Okay, easy enough. Okay, so I put.
You're a pal, Raymond.
Yeah, always have been for you, J88. All right, so I put my Neurocaster on.
Okay, you put your Neurocaster on, and you sort of link it in. All of a sudden, you'll find yourself in the exact same place that you just put the Neurocaster on, but you don't have a Neurocaster on. You can see Jel is sitting down on the exact same place that she was sitting in the real world, and this Neuroscape mimics the real world, and she's standing there, and she's sitting there, and she's standing there. She seems to be glitching.
Jel? That is Raymond. Hello?
You're like, hello? She appears to not be interacting with you.
I walk up to her, and if she's glitching, it means actually I can't touch her, can I?
Oh, you probably can, yeah.
Okay. Well, I try and give her, a pat on the shoulder. Hello, Jel. Hello.
Yeah, you kind of time it so when she's sort of like not seeing, she's standing, or standing and not seeing.
Yeah.
And you kind of tap her. You tap her, and she sort of like looks at you, and she goes, "Oh, thank goodness."
What happened? Where have you been?
I was trying to see if I could get some information for your friend, but I seem to have come across something.
Okay, what is it?
It says, "Shh, it's listening. It's listening." As you say that, you hear this pulse and the static starting to grow. As the static's starting to grow, you can see that there's a darkness that's kind of edging in from the edges of the building, or the edges of the Neuroscape. And it's coming closer and coming closer. And she says, oh my God, it's coming.
Quickly, did you find out where the signal was coming from?
Yes.
Where?
It's coming from here.
Here?
In the vault. It's coming from the vault.
Well, while that thing is coming at us, it's coming. The signal's coming from the vault. So let's get out of here for the moment. Can you get out?
I can't seem to get out.
You're stuck.
Think so. And she sort of like puts her hand up to her mouth, and she looks behind you.
Okay, I swing around.
You swing around. You can see these formless grey creatures shambling towards you. They're bleach white. They don't appear to have any kind of eyes. What they do seem to have is sort of data, sort of like in their head. It's a weird kind of thing. Unless you're sort of looking at the Neuroscape, it's difficult to describe. But things are changing. The face is changing. It's swapping. It's turning to multiple different things and faces and people, and they sort of like are starting to shamble closer to you. Dare you use the word zombie, but they're shambling closer, and there's probably a good handful of them.
Okay, I think I'm going to try and exit the Neuroscape. I'm going to take it off.
Okay, that's fine. You exit the Neuroscape.
Hey, Raymond, what'd you find out?
Well, she said the signal's coming from inside there in something called the vault, but there was some seriously strange stuff going on in there. She says she's trapped. She can't get out.
Well, and then I ripped the Neuroscape helmet off her head. Jeez.
Okay, yeah, you pull the Neuroscape helmet off her head, and she starts to sort of violently shudder, and she seems to be having some kind of fit or something, as Jel sort of like slides off of the sofa and hits the floor as she shudders around on the floor.
And the Soundgarden song stops playing, and he plays a clip of Darth Vader. I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Jeez. Okay.
Where's this vault? Let's go check out where this vault is.
Well, if it's inside the Neuroscape, we have to go back in.
Well, no, I think she meant this vault. I think she meant in this building somewhere.
In this building somewhere. Right. Okay. Well, can I just check her pulse for a minute? Let's see if we're still around, because that was a serious dick move, guy.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Do you want to try and do some kind of first aid for her?
Well, I got to check her pulse first, and if she's alive, then I'll try something.
Yeah, you check her pulse. She's alive because she's still like shuddering
Twitching.
and twitching.
Right, okay.
Yeah, she's twitching. Yeah,
She's having a seizure.
she is.
Okay, I see a small like stick on the ground, and I put it in her mouth so she doesn't swallow her tongue. And her eyes are like rolling in the back of her head.
There's like some like fluff or some stuff coming out the side of her mouth.
Okay, well, she may come out of it soon. She's got this thing in her mouth, and she's not going to swallow her tongue, so she has a good chance of surviving that way without choking on her own appendage. So I think the best thing we could do then is just leave her for a moment. We don't have any medication. We don't have anything to stop this. IG-88, that was rough.
Yeah, whatever. Come on, let's go.
Tiffany comes running over and like grabs her.
Wait, who's Tiffany?
There's two other people with you. Paul and Tiffany.
Right. I forgot.
You lot! Oh, I can't remember you guys. Paul also kind of comes over and Tiffany sort of starts to make her more comfortable. Paul says, I'll go look for a medical kit. Wanders off to sort of like the back areas of behind the counters and stuff. The dog just sits there looking at you all.
Well, at least Raymond feels a little bit better about somebody trying to actually get some medical help for her. He still has a little bit of a heart.
Meanwhile, IG-88 is walking where?
I'm going to try to find where this vault might be.
Okay. You go for a bit of a wander around and just sort of like, and you realize that Roger is missing. Go to try and find the vault. Meanwhile, Roger, you open the door and inside you can see a long line of what look like tablets. And on the tablets, there's these orange runes that are kind of all flashing. And if you look at the VTT on the top left-hand corner, there's a picture of a load of these tablets with all this data on.
Okay. Have I seen anything like this before?
No. Well, have you? Maybe you have.
Does it look... I can't quite remember, but it does ring a bell.
It does ring a bell.
As in, I have definitely seen something like this before.
It's quite state-of-the-art memory pads. These all contain memories or datas or some kind of information on, and they're top-notch.
Weird. I know that, but okay. Let's see. Let's walk down the aisles and see if there's another way to continue the tour, if that makes sense. If there's a way, like, because this it doesn't look like this is an interactive exhibit per se. It looks like storage for a bunch of tech.
That's exactly what it looks like. Some kind of storage.
So, but if I can't find a way out, maybe it was the other door that was the future.
Maybe. Yeah, you kind of like have a look around. It seems like the storage archive has a lot of this. You kind of follow it kind of goes into like a T-shaped room, and then you can make your way back around. There is no other exits out of here. This is the only exit. Is the one you came in.
Okay. It's just more and more storage, is it, all everywhere?
More and more storage.
Every nook and cranny. Does this feel
pretty much
more organized than the exhibits upstairs?
Yes,
and
very
more
much
like
so.
care in the sort of...
Absolutely, it does.
So this feels like, yeah, interesting. Okay.
You also notice that all of the tablets all have a stylized S on it. That's their brand.
Okay.
It looks familiar, you know, like you might see a brand out in the world. You don't, I may have seen that in an advert somewhere, but you can't recall what the actual.
Can't remember which store I saw it in or where I saw it.
No.
I don't know, but I definitely. Okay. I guess I'll go back to like the entranceway, and then out of interest, when I'm about to leave, I'll look back at the tablets and I'll be like,
"Yep,
okay, you know what? I'll just have a quick look at one of these things, just so I'm like." Just to sort of like remind myself where maybe if I pick up this thing, I'll remember what exactly it is. So I'll just go up to the closest one and be like, okay, off the shelf. Let's have a look.
It seems that as you pull it off the shelf, there is a cable attaching the tablet to a cable behind it. So it is attached. There's a data cable. There is also a port to put a Neurocaster into.
Okay. I'll have a look at this front of the tablet and see if it wants to say.
It is this sort of like this orange and black background, and it's asking you to insert your Neurocaster.
Okay. Can I see if there's any way to bring up like a settings menu for this thing?
Yeah, you
like
start messing about with it. Can you,
Yeah.
you make a wits roll for me, please?
Okay, let's see.
If you've got any kind of technical skills that might work with that, feel free to go ahead with it.
Unless it's to do with... I don't think we can argue that this has anything to do with a car.
No. Let's try.
Okay, 3 dice.
Yeah, you do actually find the settings on there. You can do, and it kind of comes up with lots of code, which isn't really your forte.
No.
But there is a lot of code that it kind of comes up instead of being able to go into your Neurocaster. So there's no sort of handy Windows drop down. It is.
So this is a professional. This isn't like you got like a nice handy dandy user interface. This is
no, it does not.
Once again, vaguely familiar this kind of thing, but
yes,
no, I've seen it, but I don't think ever used. I don't know. You'll just kind of like stare at it for a wee while longer, and then. So there all seems to be plugged into something. Did I notice when I was wandering around where all these plugs actually went?
Well, you sort of like start moving the data things and start looking behind the shelves. They all seem to be running into various clusters, and all the clusters are going into sort of like the piping and in the background of the book. It seems they all seem to be attached.
Okay. Can I just sort of like follow the point up and kind of follow the piping on the top,
you can do
and then
that.
Be like, okay, that seems to go deeper into the room. I wonder where that goes.
So while you're doing that, Raymond and IG-88, you kind of come across the same door that Roger's already come to, which says, "To the future." This appears to be the only door, apart from a couple of fire doors, that take you back outside.
Something tells me, IG-88, that this might be the way he went.
Yeah, open it.
Okay, I push it open.
Again, you get the same thing, this sort of barrels type device that turns on as you go down this walkway in front of you, with lots of coloured lights and coloured paper, and it sort of like starts to rotate as you have to walk through it, like a carnival ride.
Okay. Well, here we go. After you, IG-88.
He turns and looks at you and says, "We seem to be made," in C-3PO's voice, "we seem to be made to suffer. It is our lot in life." And he steps to the door.
And I say it's not a lot, but it's life.
You go down the escalators, and you come out into this very utilitarian corridor at the bottom. And as you do so, a door opens to the other down the corridor, and you see Roger sort of like looking and following this piping down the corridor.
"Yo, Roger, where you been?"
He kind of just like looks down from the pipe, looks over, and then just sort of like nods, and then like gets back to what he was doing.
He seems to be going away from you towards the other end of the corridor.
We need to catch up with him.
"Yeah, I'm gonna go after him."
Okay. Yeah, you catch up to him as he gets to the door without anything on. You open that. You guys get to follow soon, and you come into another set of these sort of like winding corridors. You follow this all the way through, and you come to a set of stairs. The corridors carry on. It's like a maze down here, but the actual trunking that you're following goes down into the ground and then goes underground to another level.
Roger, I'm looking for a place called the Vault.
Roger just kind of looks at you, then shrugs.
You haven't seen a room marked Vault anywhere down here?
He sort of gives a sort of look like he's thinking to himself, and then shakes his head.
"So what have we got here?" I'm like pointing at this piping that he's been fixated on.
He points back in the direction he came with, and then makes sort of sign of a square, and then makes sign of like sort of like book almost, and then sign of like cable coming from his book, and then points up to the pipe.
It's like a fucking game of charades with you, isn't it? I have no idea what you're trying to tell me, Roger.
He just shrugs and carries on following the pipes. He doesn't care what IG thinks.
You go through the door and you come into a staircase, which is going down. It's also going up as well. But there's as you get to open the door into the sort of like staircase, there is a list of various different floors, and it says museum, ground floor, and then it says archives, first, -1, -2, it says maintenance, -3, it says vault.
Something tells me that's our destination.
Roger just kind of looks at the pipe and is it going down?
It goes down.
And I guess he just keeps following the pipe.
Okay. You follow the pipe, which means you go down the stairs. As you get down to the sort of next floor, it says maintenance. And then the pipe seems to continue going down.
Roger will keep following the pipe. The other two can do whatever they want. He's interested in this pipe.
Are you both following Roger, or are you...
Yeah, I'm following Roger and, playing random clips from Star Wars. Mainly like some snarky comments from Han Solo.
Sure. You kind of get to sort of -3, which the stairs stop at. So this is the bottom of the building. And there is a very ordinary fire door, which leads you into the vault, apparently. You make your way you go through the door. As you go through the door, you kind of come out into this large warehouse, which is yet another massive vaulted room.
Was the door marked vault or anything like that?
It didn't have anything written on that.
All right.
And it is a very large, open, empty space. And it's one room, much like the same sort of size as the ground floor building. It almost mirrors that. And it's just this huge, open, football-sized kind of field-sized area. And right on the other side, there is a light and a door.
Is my pipe leading that way?
Yes, your pipe appears to sort of come down to this floor, and then it goes into the ground and then disappears.
So whatever it is underneath us, maybe, where that pipe goes.
Potentially.
But there doesn't appear to be anywhere, only one exit of this room, really, at the other side?
The other side.
What is so interesting about this damn pipe? He just waves you off, and he starts going toward that light.
Okay. As you start going towards the light, a spotlight comes on. As you walk about 10 meters, a spotlight comes onto you. Then as you carry on, another spotlight comes onto you. It's almost like it's following you across the room.
That's me in the spotlight, losing my religion.
I guess Roger will just kind of watch IG-88 until he makes it to the other side, just to see if anything happens.
Okay. What's Raymond doing?
I'm just going to follow IG-88 for the moment. A few steps behind him, though.
Directly behind him, or off to the side, or?
The side a bit.
Off the side. How far off to the side?
About 3 or 4 feet off to the side of him.
Okay.
Look at the GM asking for specifics.
Right.
Ooh! A giant empty space with nothing in it, so that's...
Okay.
It's a mimic.
Yeah, so you're sort of like following IG-88 and pretty much staying in the periphery of the spotlight for every single step that he's taking. As you're moving forward, you suddenly start to see movement to your left and to your right. You suddenly start to see people milling about. You can see a child running around. There's a group of kids playing in one side of the room. Looks like with like some kind of like gravetic cars or something that they're sort of like playing with.
Will I see this, or is this Raymond seeing this?
This is Raymond seeing this, not you.
Okay.
You can make out just various different scenes from various things, just from life. Nothing special, just small little snippets. And just off to the left-hand side, you can see a couple walking across a little footbridge.
Well.
It kind of catches your eye, but you then give it no mind. It's not a memory you've ever had or seen or done.
Okay. So all these other people that are milling about, actually they are projections of memories then?
It looks that way.
Okay.
There looks to be maybe it's some kind of like 3D hologram kind of thing going on, but you can just see it. Just as you look around, it's not solid right in front of you, but it's just on the edges.
Like on the periphery of my vision?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. IG-88, are you catching any of this?
What? Who?
At the periphery of your vision, are you catching any of this movement, any of these images?
You do not see anything, IG-88.
No, I don't see anything.
Your senses do not pick any of it up.
So if I move my head quickly enough, it disappears?
It fades rather than disappears.
Fades rather than disappears. Right, okay.
It's like the more you concentrate on it, the more it fades. But then you notice something on this periphery or that periphery rather than just right in front of you.
Okay. Well, considering the fact that it sort of fades as I look at it, going towards it to see what it is would be useless, I think. Maybe I'll just keep following IG-88 for the moment.
Just on the edge of his light, essentially.
Yeah.
Roger.
Yes.
They appear to be like wandering straight across the...
Do I see them kind of stop for a second and then
They stop. They have like obviously a conversation. You can make out obviously like... You can't really make out what they're saying because neither of them are shouting.
Yeah. I'm going to just have a little poke around to like this end of the hangar and just see if there's anything that wasn't immediately obvious when they're just down here. Like maybe walk to like the far right edge.
Yeah, you follow to the far right edge. As you kind of like, how far into the hangar, or are you just going to follow the wall?
Well, I assume I'm just, we're at the wall, the end of the wall. So I'll just keep the wall on my right and then just walk until I get a wall in front of me. Just to gauge how big this place is.
Yeah, you kind of, you realize it's obviously bigger than you think it is. And you make your way towards the right-hand side. You're looking around, you can see there's various ductwork and just all the kind of trappings that you would have of an underground facility. There's probably water pipes and that sort of thing that's here as well. And you kind of come across like a wrench that's kind of been left that might have fallen out of someone's maintenance kit. That's kind of like on the floor just next to the wall. Other than that, it's empty. There's nothing.
So
there's some dirt and dust and stuff from...
I was going to say, does it look like it's well maintained, this place, or does it just look like it's been kind of abandoned?
It looks like it's been abandoned for a while.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I'll go and have a look. Is it a wrench, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess I'll pick it up and have a look at it. Like, does it have like a name or anything? Like a John's wrench or something like that?
Yeah.
Do not touch.
It says Bursch or something on the... It's kind of like...
Yeah. Is that the brand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's a red wrench with a black kind of grip to it.
Okay. Well, never know where I might need an extra wrench in my toolkit. So I guess I'll just pocket that and then just look back over and see how they're getting on with their trip across the hangar.
It turns out they've got to the door on the other side of the hangar.
I guess I'll just stick to the wall and just sort of like walk along the wall to join them rather than going through the middle.
So IG-88 and Raymond, you get to the other door. It is a single door. It has a similar setup as the other emergency exit doors that you've seen. It's a metal door with a push bar in the front. And there is nothing out of the ordinary for this door other than it being a door.
Do I still have that spotlight on me?
The spotlight is now behind you. You're out of the spotlight.
Okay. I open the door.
Yep. You push the bar and open the door. And as you do that, a bunch of light comes flooding in, and you can see 3 stories of junk and stuff that has been stored. The 3 stories is topped by a skylight, and the skylight is letting in all the sort of like all the light. But there's various lights and various things flashing, and you can see that there is sort of 3 floors, but they're on 3 mezzanines, and every conceivable place is covered in junk. And as you're sort of looking around, you can also see dotted around in all the junk is various stages of decomposition are people connected to Neurocasters.
I turn to Raymond and I say, "You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy." I should say, I didn't say that. It was a clip from Star Wars.
We take it for granted now.
And they've seen better days, I'm sure. So the humans seem to be in a state of physical decay.
Some of them are. Some of them look relatively fresh. There's probably, if you were to count, just under 40, maybe 50. And they're on various levels and sort of things, and they're covered in detritus, and it looks like some of the panels above have kind of like broken, and so sort of pigeon poop and various other stuff has blown in and covered everything in here in years of rubbish.
Are they like seated in chairs or?
Yeah, some of them are seated in chairs. Others are kind of like sat down in a spot that obviously probably would have been vaguely comfortable.
I start checking each individual person.
As you go over to each individual person, they're all wearing Neurocasters from various different time periods over the last sort of like 10 or 15 years, or at least since Neurocasters have been around. I think it's about 10 years or so. And you can see that they have all got, maybe some of them have got bottles of water, or at least they did have. They look like they've sat down here to do something with their Neurocasters. The Neurocasters do not appear to be attached to anything, and they are just sitting here.
There's no way to know if anyone looks familiar because the helmet is on, right? For those individuals who have not decomposed, for the fresh ones, I should say.
Yes.
There's no way to know or to like recognize anyone because they've got the helmets on, right?
Correct.
The Neurocasters. Okay, so you'd have to take it off to see their face.
You would. Yeah.
And they're not there's no nameplates wherever they're sitting. There's no like.
No.
They're not wearing
literally,
jumpers with their name tags on them or anything like that.
not that you can see, but if you want to go to some of them and sort of like rummage around in their personal belongings, like
I want to do that for as many of them as I can. Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to the quote-unquote fresher ones.
Yes.
And I'm trying to speak to them and seeing if they can react and respond. So I'll say, hello, kind of tapping them a little bit.
One kind of like twitches.
I'll say, hey, you, take off the Neurocaster.
They kind of like move their hand to sort of like push you away.
Right, okay, so they're probably,
But they're not touching you. They're just kind of like, they're flailing around in the air.
yeah. Right, okay. So I'm probably no more than a bug to them inside there. Something bothering them. Okay. Is it possible that they're all sort of living a shared experience?
It could be, but they don't appear to be attached to anything.
Is there wireless Neurocaster technology in this world?
Yeah, there is wireless Neurocast technology, I believe. But they would need some kind of like router or, something to kind of like do that, to connect it with. But they don't appear to have that on them or see that you can see. And as you're fiddling with this person, Roger, you're outside. You've kind of like followed the edges of this large structure. No lights come on for you. You kind of stick to the edges. But what you do see along the edges, there are a lot of projectors.
You'll have a look at that and then just kind of be like, I wonder what that's for necessarily. Do they look the same sort of level of nick of all the maintenance here, as in not great?
Yeah, not great.
Rusty.
Yeah, there's
Probably
sort of like
use the
you see
bulbs
dust
changing.
on some. Yeah, some of the bulbs we changed. Some of the, well, they definitely could be like wiped clean because there's like dust and stuff on some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there like cables running to the floor for those as well?
No, they all appear to be embedded into the walls. So there must be something on the other side that projects out or something like that.
Keep on going to the door and see if I can track down where those ads were plugged
As you
in.
do that, a door opens right in front of you and a tracked robot comes out. The tracked robot is holding a data pad or sort of like a tablet with orange and black background, and it trundles past you and it heads towards the door that IG-88 and Raymond went into.
Okay. So that they didn't come from the door where AGA and
No,
a door that I didn't see has just
a
opened.
door that you didn't see, just the side of the wall just opens up.
And he had one of those tablets.
He did.
Okay, so the rest of the origin of the tablets might be through this door then. So I guess I'll just go through this door which has appeared.
Yeah, you go through this door. You have to bend down because the robot's about half the size of a person, and it just came out of that same sort of size door. It's like the mini door opened up, and you go in that way.